The Galactic Council Chamber was the most impressive structure humanity had ever seen. It floated in the darkness of space, a massive station built around a dying star. Inside, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections. Some breathed oxygen like humans. Others floated in tanks of methane gas. A few existed as pure energy, contained in special force fields. Ambassador Marcus Chen stood alone in the center of the circular chamber. Above him, holographic displays showed his face to every delegate. He wore a simple black suit, his hands clasped behind his back. His expression was calm, almost peaceful. The council speaker, a tall being called Vartok from the ancient eldest species, raised one of his forearms. The gesture brought silence to the chamber. His voice echoed through translation devices that every species carried. The Council has reached its decision regarding humanity and the planet known as Earth, Vartak announced. His tone carried the weight of centuries. After 3 months of deliberation and testimony from multiple species, we have concluded that humanity poses a significant risk to galactic stability. Marcus did not move. He simply listened. Another delegate stood. She was Cress, from the Aquilin Confederation, a species of bird-like creatures with brilliant blue feathers. Her voice was sharp. Humans are too aggressive. In only 200 years since first contact, they have expanded to 17 star systems. They question our laws. They challenge our traditions. They refuse to accept how things have always been done. A third delegate joined in. This one was Zormak, representing the powerful Krill Dominion. He was reptilian, covered in dark scales, with eyes that glowed red. Humanity experiments with dangerous technologies. They combine different species' knowledge in ways that should not be combined. They take risks that endanger everyone around them. More voices joined the chorus. The complaints continued for nearly an hour. Humans were too curious, too unpredictable, too quick to adapt and change, too willing to question authority, too eager to help species that should remain in their assigned places in galactic society. Finally, Bartok raised his arm again. Therefore, the Galactic Council has voted. Humanity is hereby exiled from civilized space. All human presence must withdraw from Council territory within 30 standard days. Earth and its colonies will no longer have access to galactic trade networks, knowledge databases, or diplomatic protection. This decision is final and cannot be appealed. The chamber fell silent. Every being present waited for the human response. Some expected anger. Others anticipated desperate pleas. The Krill delegate smiled, expecting threats of violence. Instead, Marcus Chen smiled. It was a genuine smile, warm and perhaps even relieved. "Thank you, Council Speaker," Marcus said clearly. His voice carried no bitterness, no anger, no fear. Humanity acknowledges the Council's decision. We will comply fully with all requirements of this exile. Confusion rippled through the chamber. This was not the expected response. You accept? Vartak asked, his translator carrying his surprise. Of course, Marcus replied. You have made your decision. You have the right to determine who participates in your civilization. We respect that, right? He paused, looking around at the assembled delegates. We thank you for the opportunity to have been part of this community, however briefly. We learned much from you all. Cress leaned forward. You are not going to protest? To argue? Marcus shook his head. No, you have spoken clearly. Humanity understands we are not welcome here. We will leave peacefully and wish you all prosperity and peace. The simplicity of his acceptance seemed to disturb the council more than any threat could have. Delegates began whispering among themselves. Some seemed disappointed. Others appeared uncertain. Very well, Vartak said slowly. You have 30 days to evacuate all human presence from council space. Any humans remaining after that time will be arrested and their vessels seized. Understood, Marcus said with a slight bow. We will begin immediately. By your leave, Council Speaker? Vartak waved his arm in dismissal, clearly unsettled by how icily this had gone. Marcus turned and walked calmly toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the massive chamber. Every being present watched him go, wondering why the humans seemed almost happy to be exiled. As Marcus reached his shuttle, his second in command, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, waited with a concerned expression. "Sir, how did it go?" Marcus's smile grew wider. "Exactly as we expected, Sarah. They voted for Exile. Full expulsion from galactic space within 30 days. Sarah's eyes widened. "And you seem pleased about this?" "Pleased." Marcus entered the shuttle and settled into his seat. "Sarah, do you know what humanity's biggest problem has been since joining the galaxy?" "No, sir." "Rules," Marcus said simply. "They're rules. They're restrictions. They're ways of doing things that cannot be questioned. They're limits on what we can research, where we can go, what we can try." He looked out the viewport at the council station growing smaller. "For 200 years, we've played by their rules. We've held ourselves back to avoid offending them. We've limited our potential to fit into their comfortable, stagnant civilization." He turned to Sarah with eyes that gleamed with excitement. "But now they've freed us from all of that. They've exiled us from their restrictions. They've given us permission to be everything they feared we could become." Sarah began to understand. The survey missions. The unexplored sector. 3 years of quiet preparation, Marcus confirmed. 3 years of surveying a region of space they dismissed as worthless. 3 years of finding resources, mapping routes, and discovering possibilities they never imagined. He pulled up a star chart showing a vast region of uncharted space. "They think they're punishing us. They have no idea they're setting us free." Marcus opened a secure channel to Earth. The Secretary General appeared on screen, waiting. "It's done, Madam Secretary," Marcus reported. "The Council has voted for full exile. We have 30 days, Secretary General nodded. Then we proceed with protocol freedom. Inform all human stations and colonies. We're going home, Marcus. And then we're going somewhere much better." Marcus saluted and closed the channel. He immediately opened a new one that reached every human facility in Council space. "Attention all human personnel. This is Ambassador Chen. The Council has voted for our exile from galactic civilization. As of now, protocol freedom is in effect. You all know your assignments. Pack everything. Take every piece of technology, every research file, every seed and sample. Leave nothing behind that made our presence here valuable. We're not leaving in shame. We're leaving by choice." He paused, then added with a grin, "They wanted us gone. Let's show them what humanity does when we're free to be ourselves." Chin out, across dozens of star systems, humans received the message. In research stations and trading posts, on colony worlds and diplomatic facilities, people began to move with purpose. There was no panic, no tears. Instead, there was excitement. The galaxy had voted to exile humanity. They had no idea they had just made the biggest mistake in their long, comfortable history. Humanity was about to show them what happened when you freed the most adaptable, curious, determined species in the known universe from all restrictions. The countdown had begun. 30 days until humanity left, and then the real adventure would start. Hash. The Galactic voted to exile Earth. Humanity smiled and left without looking back. Hash hash. Part 2. The exodus. The evacuation began within hours of Ambassador Chen's announcement. Across 17 star systems, humanity moved with a speed and efficiency that shocked every species watching. On the trading station of Velcro Prime, Merchant Captain Diana Torres supervised the dismantling of human commercial operations. The station master, a Velcorian named Quinta, watched with growing concern as humans packed not just their personal belongings, but every piece of equipment they had installed. Captain Torres, Quinta said, his translator making his whistling speech understandable, "Surely you do not need to take the medical scanners. Those were gifts to the station." Diana smiled politely as her crew carefully removed a diagnostic machine from the medical bay. These scanners were modified with human technology. Station Master, the software requires updates that only human engineers can provide. Without us, they'll stop working in about 6 months. Better to take them now than leave you with broken equipment. But Quinta started to protest, then stopped. Throughout the station, he could see the same pattern. food synthesizers that humans had improved, environmental systems that humans had optimized, communication arrays that humans had enhanced. All of it was being removed, or would soon become useless without human maintenance. We never realized how much you had integrated into our operations, Quinta said quietly. That's the thing about humans. Diana replied, directing her crew to the next section. We like to help. We like to improve things. We like to make everything work better. She paused and looked at the station master. But all of that was built on the assumption we were part of this community. Since we're not welcome anymore, it seems wrong to leave behind things that will just cause problems later. On the research colony of Haven 7, scientist Dr. James Park was erasing 3 years of agricultural research from the shared galactic database. His Aquilin colleague Cyric landed beside him with a flutter of blue feathers. James, please, Cyric said, distress clear in his voice. That research could feed millions. The drought-resistant grain strains you developed were developed by humans, using human methods. Combining techniques from 6 different species in ways the Council said were inappropriate, James interrupted gently. The Council voted to exile us, Cyric. They didn't just exile our people. They exiled our ideas, our methods, our contributions. If they don't want us, they don't get to keep what we created. But people will starve. James's expression softened. Then maybe the Council should have thought about that before they voted. I'm sorry, my friend. But humanity is done giving away everything we create while being told we're too dangerous to exist alongside you. He finished the deletion and stood. For what it's worth, I'll miss working with you. You were a good partner. Cyric watched his friend walk away, carrying boxes of research materials that would never be shared with the galaxy again. Only then did he realize how much knowledge was leaving with the humans at the Diplomatic Academy on Centrum Station. Ambassador Talvik addressed his students. The old educator was a member of the eldest species, one of the few who had voted against humanity's exile. Let this be a lesson to all of you, Talvik said, his forearms gesturing to the empty seats where human students had sat just days before. Politics is not just about making decisions. It is about understanding consequences. A young Crest student raised a wing. But Professor, surely the humans were dangerous. They advanced too quickly. They questioned everything. Did they? Talvik asked. Or did they simply refuse to accept that the old ways were the only ways? He walked to a display showing human evacuation fleets. In 200 years, humans resolved 17 conflicts between species that had been fighting for thousands of years. They did this not with weapons, but with creative solutions that no one else had considered. He changed the display to show a trading route map. This network was optimized by human logistics experts. It reduced transport times by 30% across the entire sector. Watch what happens when they leave. The map updated, showing the routes returning to their old, slower patterns. Several trade lanes turned red, indicating they were now unprofitable without human efficiency. The humans, Talvik continued, were not dangerous because they were aggressive or violent. They were dangerous because they were better at solving problems than species that had been doing things the same way for millennia. And rather than learn from them, the Council chose to exile them. He looked at his students seriously. Remember this moment. Remember what fear and pride cost us on Earth itself. Secretary General Maria Santos stood in the command center watching status updates from every human facility in the galaxy. Green lights appeared one by one as each station reported successful evacuation. Madam Secretary, her military advisor, said, all personnel will be extracted within 25 days. We're ahead of schedule? And the special cargo? Maria asked. Every research sample, every technology prototype, every cultural artifact we collected from other species, all secured and heading home. The advisor paused. The Council still hasn't realized that when they said we had to leave their civilization, they never specified what we could take with us. Maria smiled. 200 years of collected knowledge, technology, and cultural understanding. We came to the galaxy willing to learn. We learned more than they ever imagined. She pulled up a star chart showing humanity's true destination. Beyond Council space, in a region the other species had surveyed once and dismissed, lay a cluster of star systems rich with possibilities. The frontier sector, Maria said quietly. The council called it worthless because the stars are unstable and the resources are scattered. They never looked deeper because they never needed to, the advisor agreed. They have enough in their comfortable territories. But we found something they missed. Maria nodded. The surveys had been humanity's secret for 3 years. Stable wormholes that connected distant systems, resource-rich asteroids in patterns that suggested intelligent placement, and most importantly, signals that indicated other intelligent species in the region species. The Council had never contacted because they never looked hard enough. How many ships are ready for the deep survey? Maria asked. 300 vessels, fully supplied for 2 years of independent operation. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats ready to make first contact with any species we find. Good. Maria watched another status light turn green. Another human facility emptied. Another piece of humanity's presence in Council space erased. The Council thinks they're getting rid of a problem. They have no idea they're creating a competitor. In space, the evacuation fleets began to gather. Hundreds of ships, from massive colony transports to small personal vessels, all heading toward Earth. But watching sensors noticed something odd. The ships were not all going to Earth. Many were heading to rally points near the edge of Council space, forming into organized groups. A Krill patrol ship detected one such gathering and reported it to their command. Unknown human vessel formations at coordinates 44577298, they appear to be organizing into expeditionary groups. Let them, the Krill commander responded. They are exiled. Where they go is no longer our concern. But a few observers were more thoughtful. On the Council station, Vardic studied the movement patterns of human ships. Something troubled him, though he could not identify what. They are too calm, he said to his aide. Species facing exile should be desperate, angry, or afraid. The humans are none of these things. Perhaps they are simply accepting their fate with dignity, the aide suggested. No, Vartok said slowly. They're acting like people who have a plan. Like people who wanted this outcome. That makes no sense, Council speaker. Why would anyone want exile? Vartek did not answer. He simply watched the human ships disappear from long-range sensors, heading not toward Earth, but toward the unexplored darkness beyond Council borders. On the lead ship of the Exodus fleet, Ambassador Marcus Chen stood on the bridge watching the stars ahead. Beside him, Captain Sarah Kim checked the navigation systems. All ships report ready, sir, Sarah said. We have supplies for 3 years. Full scientific equipment. Everything we need to establish ourselves in the frontier sector, Al Marcus nodded. Behind them, the civilized galaxy grew smaller. Ahead, unknown space waited. Space that held possibilities the Council had been too comfortable to set in their ways, to explore. Send the message to all ships, Marcus ordered. Tell them what we're really doing out here. Sarah opened a channel to the entire fleet, 300 ships carrying humanity's best and brightest into the unknown. Attention all vessels, Marcus announced. This is not a retreat. This is not defeat. The Council voted to exile us from their civilization. They have freed us from their restrictions, their limitations, their fears. He paused, his voice growing stronger. For 200 years, we played by their rules. We held back our potential. We limited ourselves to fit into their comfortable world. That ends now. The starfield ahead seemed to shimmer with possibility. We're going to build something better, Marcus continued. Something that welcomes innovation instead of fearing it. Something that rewards curiosity instead of punishing it. We're going to show the galaxy what humanity can do when we're finally free to be ourselves, when they realize their mistake. Sarah asked quietly. Marcus smiled. By then, we'll be so far beyond them that their approval won't matter anymore. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed, leaving Council space behind forever. The galaxy did not know it yet, but everything had just changed. Humanity was no longer asking for permission. They were going to build their own future, and it was going to be magnificent. Hash. The Galactic voted to exile Earth humanity, smiled and left without looking back. Hash hash. Part 3. The silenced 2 years had passed since the last human ship left Council space. On the surface, galactic civilization continued as it had for thousands of years. But cracks were beginning to show. Dr. Surik stood in his laboratory on Haven 7, staring at rows of dying crops. The drought-resistant grain that Dr. James Park had developed was failing. Without the human scientists to maintain the genetic sequences, the plants were reverting to their original, weaker forms. 14 worlds depend on this strain, Surik's assistant said quietly. If we cannot stabilize it, millions will face food shortages within the year. I know, Surik replied. He had tried everything he could remember from watching James work. But human agricultural methods were different, intuitive in ways that other species found difficult to replicate. James had combined techniques from 6 different species, creating something new that none of them could recreate alone. We received any response from Earth? The assistant asked, carped up his communication logs. Like many others, he had tried to contact his human colleagues. The response was always the same, an automated message that appeared instantly, professional and polite. Thank you for contacting humanity. We appreciate your message but are currently focusing on internal development. We wish you well in all your endeavors. No matter what the message contained, requests for help, offers of trade, even apologies for the exile, the response never changed. Humanity was not ignoring them out of anger. They simply were not interested anymore. They have moved on, Surik said sadly. We told them they were not welcome. They believed us. On Centrum Station, the diplomatic academy was struggling. Ambassador Talvik reviewed applications for the new semester and shook his head. Enrollment is down 40%, his assistant reported. Without human students, many courses lack the diversity needed for proper diplomatic training. Talvik remembered how human students had approached problems. They asked questions that seemed obvious, but that no one else thought to ask. They found compromise solutions between species that had been enemies for centuries. They had a talent for seeing connections that others missed. More concerning, the assistant continued, 3 conflicts have erupted in sectors that were previously stable. Minor disputes that humans would have mediated before they became violent? Which conflicts? Talvik asked, though he already knew. The Vorden and Kellis dispute over mining rights. The Aquilin and Krill border disagreement. The Terminus trade route conflict between the eldest and the Commonwealth species? Talvik sighed. Every one of those conflicts had human fingerprints on the original peace agreements. Agreements that had held for decades but were now falling apart without human diplomats to maintain the delicate balance. Has anyone tried to contact human diplomatic services? Talvik asked. Many times, Professor. We receive only automated responses. The humans are not available. On the Krill homeworld, General Zormak reviewed strategic reports with satisfaction. Since human exile, the Krill Dominion had expanded its territory by 7 systems. Small species that once had human protection now stood alone. The humans maintained a network of defensive packs, his intelligence officer reported. Without them, 15 minor species are vulnerable to annexation. Excellent, Zormak said. Humanity's weakness was always their concern for lesser species. They wasted resources protecting those who could not protect themselves. 3 systems have already requested to join the Dominion for protection, the officer continued. 5 others are negotiating terms. Zormak smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The council worried that humans were dangerous. They did not realize that humans were the only thing preventing us from claiming what should rightfully be ours. But the intelligence officer looked troubled. General, there is one oddity in the reports. What? Ships, unidentified vessels passing through deep space. They appear briefly on long-range sensors, then disappear. The design is unknown, Smuggler Zormak dismissed. Or survey ships from the Commonwealth. Not our concern, respectfully, sir. The energy signatures match nothing in our database, and they appear to be traveling on routes that should not exist, paths through areas we believed impossible to navigate safely. Zormak paused. Could they be human? Possibly, but if so, the technology is far beyond what humans possessed 2 years ago. Keep monitoring, Zormak ordered, but do not engage. The humans are exiled and no longer relevant. The officer saluted but remained worried. Something was happening in the darkness beyond Council borders. Something the Dominion did not understand. On Velcora Prime Trading Station, Station Master Quinta faced financial disaster. The medical scanners that humans had installed were failing, exactly as Captain Torres had predicted. But that was not the worst problem. Repairs are costing 3 times what they should, his operations manager reported. The systems humans upgraded are breaking down. Without their maintenance, everything is becoming inefficient. Quinta pulled up financial reports. Trade through the station was down 28%. Ships that once stopped regularly now bypassed the station, preferring routes that were slightly longer but more reliable. The human logistics network, Quinta realized. They optimized everything: docking schedules, cargo transfers, route planning. Without them, we are back to the old ways. Slower, more expensive, less reliable. We could hire new experts, the manager suggested. We have tried. No other species thinks like humans. They improved our systems in ways we did not even understand. Now those improvements are collapsing, and we cannot fix what we never understood in the first place. Quinta tried to contact Diana Torres, hoping she might provide guidance even in exile. He received the automated response. Humanity was not available. They're truly gone, he said to his empty office. And they took something we did not realize we needed. The pattern repeated across Council space. Medical facilities struggled without human diagnostic techniques. Research projects stalled without human creative approaches. Trade networks became less efficient without human optimization. Engineering projects failed without human problem-solving methods. And everywhere, the same automated message. Humanity appreciated the contact, but was focusing on internal development in the Council chamber. Vartok listened to reports from dozens of species, all describing similar problems. The meeting had been called to discuss post-human adjustment issues, though no one wanted to admit that exiling humanity had been a mistake. These are temporary difficulties, Kress insisted. We survived for millions of years before humans arrived. We will adapt to their absence. Will we? Talvik challenged. Can you name a single major breakthrough in the last 2 years that did not build on human research? Can you point to a single conflict resolved without human methods? The humans were here for only 2 centuries, another delegate argued. Their contributions were minimal, were they? Vartak asked quietly. He displayed a chart showing technological advancement rates. This line shows innovation speed before human contact. This line shows the rate after humans joined our civilization. Note the difference? The chamber fell silent. The increase was dramatic. Humanity had not just contributed their own innovations, their questions, their alternative perspectives. Their unwillingness to accept, because we have always done it this way as an answer, all of it had pushed other species to think differently. Continued. Showing the current rate is our innovation speed since exile. We have not just lost human contributions. We have lost the momentum they provided to everyone else. So what do you suggest? Kress demanded. That we admit we were wrong? That we beg them to return? I suggest nothing, Vardak replied. I merely present facts. What the Council chooses to do with those facts is not my decision. But no one offered solutions. Pride prevented admission of error. Political considerations prevented reversal of the exile. The galaxy had made its choice, and now had to live with the consequences. A junior aide approached Vartak after the meeting. Council speaker, there is something else you should see. Recent reports from merchant captains. Vartak reviewed the data. More sightings of unknown ships. Always brief. Always at extreme range. Ships that moved faster than should be possible, using routes that should not exist. Where are they going? Vartak asked. We do not know. But the trajectories suggest they originate from the region humans fled to. The frontier sector. The worthless region, Vartak said slowly. The area we surveyed once and dismissed as having nothing of value. Yes, Council Speaker. Send a long-range probe, Vartak ordered. I want to know what the humans are doing out there. The Council voted against any contact with humanity, sir. I am not making contact. I am gathering intelligence on activities in unclaimed space. That is within my authority. The probe launched 3 days later, heading toward the frontier sector. It would take weeks to reach the boundary of human operations. By the time it arrived, everything would have changed. On Earth, in the Secure Command Center, Secretary General Maria Santos reviewed the same data the Council was seeing. The mysterious ship sightings were deliberate. Humanity wanted the galaxy to know they still existed. They wanted the Council to wonder what they were doing. Probe, she asked her intelligence chief, detected and tracked. It will cross into the frontier sector in 19 days. Let it come, Maria said. Let them see what we have built. Let them understand what they freed us to become. She pulled up images from the frontier colonies. Massive orbital cities. New ship designs. Technologies that had been impossible under Council restrictions. And most importantly, representatives from 3 non-species intelligent races that humanity had discovered and befriended in the worthless sector.
Nice.
They exiled us because they feared our potential, Maria said softly. They are about to discover they were right to be afraid. But they were wrong about what we would do with that potential. The galaxy was about to receive its first real glimpse of what humanity had become in exile. And nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic voted to exile Earth. Humanity smiled and left. Without looking back, Part 4, the revelation 3 years after the exile. A scientific expedition from the eldest species ventured into the border regions near the frontier sector. They were studying stellar phenomena in what was supposed to be empty space. They were not supposed to encounter anything dangerous. Dr. Velkin, the expedition leader, watched his sensors with growing alarm. What are those readings? His science officer checked the data twice before responding. Unknown energy signatures? Multiple contacts. They are approaching fast. On the view screen, something emerged from the darkness. They were like nothing in the Council database, crystalline structures that moved with purpose, flowing through space like liquid metal. They were beautiful and terrifying. Tempting communication, the communications officer said. No response. They are not using any known frequencies. Then the creatures attacked. Energy weapons struck the expedition ship's shields, draining them rapidly. The crystalline beings seemed to feed on technology itself, growing larger and brighter with each attack. Shields at 40%. The tactical officer shouted. Weapons have no effect. They absorb our fire and grow stronger. Velkin made the only decision he could. Send a distress call. Full spectrum broadcast. And begin evacuation protocols. The message went out on all frequencies. A desperate cry for help from a ship that was dying in empty space. Velkin did not expect anyone to hear it. They were too far from Council space, too close to the forbidden frontier sector. He was wrong. 3 ships dropped out of faster than light. They were like nothing Velkin had ever seen. Sleek holes that seemed to flow like water. Energy signatures that burned brighter than anything in his database. And on their holes, unmistakable markings, human letters and numbers. Unidentified ships, Velkin transmitted. This is the eldest research vessel Discovery. We are under attack by unknown hostiles. Please assist if you can. A human voice responded immediately, calm and professional. Discovery, this is Captain Sarah Kim of the FSC Endeavor. We have your position. Hold tight. We are engaging hostiles now. The human ships moved with impossible grace. They did not use conventional weapons. Instead, they fired beams of pure white light that did not destroy the crystalline creatures, but somehow disrupted them, breaking them apart into harmless fragments that drifted away into space. Within 6 minutes, the attack was over. The creatures were gone, dispersed into cosmic dust. The human ships took up protective positions around Discovery. Discovery, Captain Kim's voice came again. You have hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Do you need evacuation assistance? Velkin stared at his screens in shock. How did you? Your weapons. What were those things? They are called harvesters, Kim explained. Crystalline entities that feed on technological energy. They have been probing our borders for 8 months. We have learned how to handle them. Your shields and weapons only make them stronger. Our disruption beams destabilized their molecular structure without feeding them energy. A transport ship appeared next to Discovery. Human engineers in advanced spacesuits began working on the hull breaches, moving with practiced efficiency. Captain Kim, Velkin said carefully, we are grateful for your assistance. But humans were exiled. What are you doing in this region? This region is outside Council space, Kim replied. The exile forbids us from entering Council territory. It says nothing about unclaimed space. We have as much right to be here as you do. Your technology. This is far beyond what humans possessed 3 years ago. There was a pause. Then Kim's ship moved closer, and her face appeared on the view screen. She looked older than Velkin remembered humans looking, more confident. There was something in her eyes that suggested she had seen things that changed her. Dr. Velkin, she said, reading his name from her own sensors, humanity has not been idle during our exile. We have been exploring, building, learning. The frontier sector that the Council dismissed as worthless turned out to be very valuable indeed. What do you mean? Kim smiled. The unstable stars you detected in your initial survey? They are unstable because they are surrounded by exotic matter that creates natural wormholes. The resource-poor asteroids? They are scattered because they were placed by an ancient civilization that used this region as a gateway network. And the empty space? It is not empty at all. She changed the display to show a star map. Velkin gasped. The worthless frontier sector was revealed as a complex network of connected star systems, linked by stable wormholes that made travel nearly instantaneous between points that would take weeks to cross in normal space. We have established colonies in 47 systems, Kim continued. We have made contact with 3 intelligent species that the Council never found because they never looked carefully enough. We have combined our technology with theirs, creating innovations that would have been impossible under Council restrictions. This is impossible, Velkin whispered. 3 years is not enough time. 3 years without restrictions, Kim corrected. 3 years without being told that mixing different species technologies is inappropriate. 3 years without committees and regulations and traditions that cannot be questioned. Dr. Velkin, do you know what humanity's greatest strength is? No, adaptability. When you are bound by rules, adaptability is limited. When you are free, it is limitless. She gestured to her ship. Everything you see here was built by combining human ingenuity with knowledge from our new allies. We could not have created this in Council space. You would not have allowed it. Velkin's repairs were complete. The human engineers returned to their ship with friendly waves. Your vessel is secure, Kim said. We have provided you with coordinates back to Council space. The route is safe. We have cleared it of harvesters. Wait, Velkin said. I must ask, why did you help us? The Council exiled you. We voted to remove you from civilization. You owe us nothing. Kim's expression became serious. Dr. Velkin, the Council voted to exile humanity from their civilization. They did not vote to change who we are. We help because helping is what humans do. It is our nature. She paused. But helping does not mean we need you. We do not want to return to Council space. We do not need your trade networks or your knowledge databases. We are happy here, building something better. Better? A civilization that welcomes innovation instead of fearing it. A society that rewards curiosity instead of punishing it. A community where species work together without rigid hierarchies or ancient prejudices. Kim's smile returned. The Council gave us the greatest gift possible when they exiled us. They freed us to become what we always could have been. She prepared to disconnect. Give the Council a message for me, Dr. Velkin. Tell them humanity thanks them for the exile. Tell them we are thriving. Tell them we have no interest in returning to their comfortable, stagnant civilization. And tell them that if any species want something different, our door is open. What do you mean? We call it the Free Systems Coalition. Any species can join. The only requirements are mutual respect and willingness to share knowledge freely. No exile votes. No restrictions on innovation. No punishment for questioning how things have always been done. Kim looked directly at Velkin. If you or anyone you know grows tired of Council limitations, remember that humanity found something better. You are welcome to join us. The human ships began to move away. "Captain Kim," Velkin called out. "What should I tell the council about your location? About your colonies?" Kim laughed. "Tell them anything you want, Doctor. Tell them everything you have seen. It does not matter anymore. We are not hiding. We are not afraid. We are simply no longer interested in their approval." The 3 human ships vanished in pulses of light that bent physics in ways Velkin's sensors could not fully track. He was left alone in space with his repaired ship, a wealth of sensor data about human technology, and a message that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The probe that Vartak had sent arrived at the frontier sector 2 days later. The data it collected was beyond anything the Council expected. Massive orbital stations. Cities floating in space around previously unknown wormholes. Ships moving between star systems in minutes instead of days. And everywhere. Mixed populations, humans working alongside 3 species the Council had never encountered. When the data reached the Council chamber, silence fell. "This is not possible," Kress said finally. "No civilization can advance this far in 3 years," Les Talvik said quietly. "They were always capable of this advancement, but were holding themselves back to fit into our society." Vartak studied the images carefully. Human children playing in parks on orbital stations, human scientists working in laboratories with alien colleagues from unknown species, human ships moving freely through space that Council vessels could not navigate. "They are not struggling," Vartak observed. "They are not desperate. They are thriving." He turned to face the assembled delegates. "We did not exile a problem. We exiled our future." "That is ridiculous," Zormak protested. "They are primitives who saved an eldest expedition that our own forces could not have reached in time," Bartok interrupted. "Who defeated enemies that our weapons could not harm. Who built a civilization in 3 years that rivals what we have built in millions." He paused. "They are not primitives, General. They never were. We simply preferred to believe they were, because the alternative was admitting they were better than us at adapting to change."
So what do we do?
Another delegate asked. Vartak looked at the images of humanity's new civilization, bright, dynamic, growing. "I do not know. But I know this. We cannot undo what we have done. Humanity has moved on. The question is whether we can do the same." On Earth, Secretary General Maria Santos reviewed the report of Discovery's rescue. She smiled, satisfied. "The Council has seen what we have built," she said to her advisors. "Let them think about it. Let them realize what they lost when they exiled us. And let them understand that we do not need their permission to exist." "Any more? What about species that want to join us?" her diplomatic chief asked.
"We welcome them,"
Maria said simply. "The Free Systems Coalition is exactly what we told Dr. Velkin. Open to anyone who wants something better than what the Council offers. We will not force anyone to leave, but we will not turn away anyone who comes to us freely." She looked at the star map showing humanity's new territory. 3 years ago, they had been exiled in shame. Now they had built something that made the Council's civilization look stagnant by comparison. "They wanted us gone," Maria said softly. "They have no idea that they did us the greatest favor in human history." The galaxy was about to change. Humanity had proven that exile was not punishment. It was liberation. And soon, others would want that same freedom. The Galactic voted to exile Earth humanity, smiled and left without looking back. Part 5. The Return. 5 years after the exile, General Zormak of the Krill Dominion made a decision that would change everything. He was tired of watching humanity build their new civilization beyond Council borders. He was angry that several minor species had defected to join the Free Systems Coalition. Most of all, he was convinced that humans were still weak at their core. "We will strike at Earth itself," Zormak announced to his war council. "The humans have spread across the frontier sector, but their homeworld remains vulnerable. We will take it, and the coalition will collapse." His intelligence officer hesitated. "General, we have limited data on human military capabilities. The ships we have observed are exploration vessels," Zormak interrupted. "Science ships, transports. We have seen no evidence of a real military fleet. The humans were always soft, preferring diplomacy to strength. That has not changed. The war fleet assembled in secret over 6 months. 300 Krill warships, the largest battle force the Dominion had ever gathered. They moved toward Earth using routes that avoided Council patrols, keeping their mission hidden even from the Council itself. When they arrived at the Sol system, Zormak smiled. Earth looked undefended. A few orbital stations. Some civilian traffic. No military vessels in sight. Scan the planet, Zormak ordered. Locate military installations and prepare bombardment protocols. Then Earth's defenses activated. What Zormak had thought were civilian stations suddenly lit up with weapon signatures that his sensors had never seen before. Defensive platforms that had been invisible flickered into view, hundreds of them. Surrounding the planet in overlapping fields of protection, and ships appeared. Not 3 or 5, but dozens, then hundreds. They emerged from stealth fields, from behind the moon, from orbital positions that should have been empty. Human ships. But also vessels from the 3 allied species of the Free Systems Coalition. On the lead human vessel, Captain Sarah Kim opened a channel to the Krill fleet. General Zormak. This is Captain Sarah Kim of the Free Systems Coalition Defense Force. You have entered our territory with hostile intent. Power down your weapons and withdraw, or we will be forced to defend ourselves. Zormak laughed. Captain Kim, I remember you. You were an ambassador's assistant? Now you play at being a soldier? He gestured to his fleet. You are outnumbered 3 to 1. Surrender Earth now, and we will spare your civilian population. I am giving you one chance to leave, General, Kim said calmly. We do not want to fight you. But we will protect our home, then you will die protecting it, Zormak snarled. He cut the connection and ordered his fleet to attack. The battle was not what Zormak expected. Human ships moved with impossible speed and precision. Their weapons did not simply destroy, they disabled. Cutting through Krill shields like paper, but targeting engines and weapons systems rather than hull integrity. Within minutes, dozens of Krill ships were floating dead in space. Their crews alive, but their vessels helpless. The 3 allied species fought alongside humans with perfect coordination. Their combined technology created tactical advantages that the Krill could not counter. Energy weapons that phased through shields, missiles that could not be intercepted, point defense systems that stopped every Krill attack.
How are they doing this?
Zormak demanded. This technology, it should not be possible. General, his tactical officer reported. They are using techniques from multiple species, combined in ways our systems cannot predict. And their ships are faster, more maneuverable. We cannot target them effectively. Zormak watched his fleet being systematically dismantled without a single enemy ship being destroyed. The humans were not trying to kill. They were making a point. They could have wiped out his fleet, but instead they were simply stopping it, leaving his soldiers alive to remember their defeat. All ships retreat. Zormak finally ordered, his pride shattered. Withdraw to Council space. But Kim's voice came through again. General, your ships are disabled. You are not going anywhere until we decide to let you go. A single human ship approached Zormak's flagship. It docked, despite his protests, and moments later, Sarah Kim walked onto his bridge. She was flanked by 2 security officers, but she walked with the confidence of someone who knew she had already won. You came to Earth expecting to find the same humans you knew 5 years ago, Kim said. That was your mistake. We are not those humans anymore. What do you want? Zormak asked, hatred in his voice. To humiliate me? To execute me? Neither, Kim replied. We want you to deliver a message to the Council. She pulled up a holographic display showing the battle from multiple angles. Every Krill ship disabled but intact. Every crew member alive? A military defeat that was also a mercy. Tell the Council that humanity has no interest in conquest, Kim said. Tell them we have no desire to invade their space or threaten their worlds. Tell them we are happy in our coalition, building something better than what they offered us. She paused, looking Zormak directly in the eyes. But tell them this too. We will defend ourselves. We will protect our allies. And anyone who threatens Earth or the Free Systems Coalition will discover that we are far more dangerous than they ever imagined. Not because we want to be, but because we can be when necessary. You could have destroyed my fleet, Zormak said quietly. And we could have, Kim agreed. But that is not who we are. We disable rather than destroy. We defend rather than attack. We offer mercy rather than vengeance. She smiled slightly. That is what the Council never understood about humanity. Our strength was never in violence. It was in our ability to choose restraint even when we could choose otherwise. She turned to leave, then looked back. We will repair your ships and provide you with supplies for your return journey. Your crews will be treated well. Consider this a demonstration of what the Free Systems Coalition stands for. Within 2 days, the Krill fleet was released. Their ships were repaired, their supplies replenished, their wounded treated in human medical facilities. And then they were sent home, carrying the story of their defeat and humanity's mercy. The council chamber erupted in chaos when news of the battle reached them. Delegates shouted at each other, accusing and defending, panicking and planning. Then, Ambassador Marcus Chen appeared on the main display. He looked older than when they had last seen him, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes. But he also looked satisfied, like someone who had accomplished something great. Council Speaker Vartak, Marcus said formally. I request permission to address the council. The chamber fell silent. This was the first time humanity had directly contacted the council in 5 years. Permission granted, Ambassador Chen Vartak said quietly. Though you are no longer an ambassador to this body. True, Marcus agreed. I am now the Secretary of External Relations for the Free Systems Coalition. I am here not as a supplicant, but as a representative of an independent civilization. You attacked a Krill fleet, Kress shouted. This is an act of war. The Krill attacked Earth, Marcus corrected calmly. We defended ourselves. We then repaired their ships, treated their wounded, and sent them home alive. If that is what you call an act of war, then perhaps you need to reconsider your definitions. He pulled up the same battle footage that Kim had shown Zormak. The council watched in silence as human ships systematically disabled the Krill fleet without killing anyone. 5 years ago. Marcus continued, You voted to exile humanity because you feared what we might become. You were right to fear, but wrong about the threat. We did not become conquerors. We did not become tyrants. We became free. He changed the display to show the Free Systems Coalition. Dozens of star systems connected by wormhole networks. Orbital cities housing billions. Ships from 4 different species working together. Research stations pushing the boundaries of science. Schools teaching children of multiple species side by side. This is what we built in 5 years, Marcus said. A civilization founded on mutual respect, shared knowledge, and freedom to innovate. We have no ruling species. No hierarchies based on who evolved first or conquered whom. We are a true coalition of equals. And now you want to rejoin the council? Vartak asked. Marcus laughed. No council speaker. We have no interest in rejoining your civilization. We have something better. The bluntness of his rejection shocked the chamber. Then why are you here? Zormak demanded, his image appearing via remote link from his recovered flagship. To extend an invitation, Marcus said. Any species that wishes to join the Free Systems? Coalition is welcome. We ask only 3 things. Respect for all member species. Willingness to share knowledge freely, and commitment to innovation without unnecessary restrictions. You want to steal our members? Kress accused. We want to offer an alternative, Marcus corrected. The council has existed for millions of years, comfortable and stable. But comfort and stability can become stagnation. We offer something different, challenge, growth, and freedom. Some species will prefer your way. Others will prefer ours. We leave the choice to them. Vartak leaned forward. And if the council objects to your recruitment, then object, Marcus said simply. We will not force anyone to join us, and we will not stop anyone who wants to. That is the difference between a coalition and an empire. We trust intelligent beings to make their own choices. He prepared to end the transmission. We bear the council no ill will. You exiled us? Yes, but that exile freed us to become something we could never have been under your restrictions. For that we thank you. Live well in your civilization. We will live well in ours. And may we both prosper in our different ways. The transmission ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then Talvik spoke. Well, that was humbling. Humbling, Crest demanded. They insulted us. They rejected us. They moved on from us, Talvik corrected. There is a difference. The humans we exiled would have begged to return. These humans do not need us anymore. Perhaps they never did. We simply gave them permission to realize it. Over the following months, 3 minor species formally withdrew from the Council and joined the Free Systems Coalition. They were species that had felt limited by Council restrictions, species that wanted more freedom to develop and grow. The Council could not stop them. They left peacefully, following all legal protocols. Several others began formal negotiations with the Coalition while maintaining Council membership. They wanted to see if they could have the best of both worlds, Council stability and Coalition innovation. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had proven that exile was not an end, but a beginning. They had shown that there were alternatives to the ancient order. And most importantly, they had demonstrated that true strength came not from conquest or domination, but from the freedom to build something better. On Earth, Secretary General Maria Santos stood in the memorial garden that had been built 5 years earlier to commemorate the exile. A simple stone marker read, "On this day, the Galactic Council voted to exile humanity. On this day, humanity became free." Marcus Chen joined her, looking tired but happy. 3 species have joined us. 7 others are considering it. The Council is in chaos, Good Maria said. Not because we want to harm them, but because they needed to be challenged. They had grown too comfortable, too certain that their way was the only way. Do you think they will ever admit they were wrong? Marcus asked. Maria smiled. Does it matter? We do not need their admission. We do not need their approval. We simply need to keep building something worth building. She looked up at the sky, where ships from 4 different species moved in harmony, working together to explore, discover, and create. 5 years ago, humanity had been exiled in what was supposed to be punishment. Instead, they had found freedom. And in finding freedom, they had shown the galaxy that there were better ways to live than in comfortable stagnation. The exile had been meant to end humanity's story. Instead, it had begun a new chapter, just for humans. But for every species brave enough to choose freedom over comfort. Humanity had smiled and left without looking back. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever.